There are protests in Eswatini, pro-democracy protests as they've been referred to. And this afternoon, I am talking to Swaziland news editor Martin Zweli Dlamini to really talk to us about what is happening. Zweli?
Hi, Queen. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Zweli, and thank you so much for making time to speak to us.
Yes, Queen. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Zweli, could you kindly, or maybe let me just introduce who you are, that you are the editor-in-chief of the Swaziland News, and you also have had your fair share of your persecution by the Eswatini government, which has at one point forced you to flee your country. Now, could you kindly just tell us what is happening in Eswatini?
Yes, Eswatini is facing growing political pressure. Citizens are protesting, demanding democratic reforms. In fact, this protest started about 4 weeks ago. It started as a protest in demand to an end against police brutality. There was a young man by the name of Taban Gomonye, a university student, who was allegedly killed by the police, and we exclusively reported that story, resulting to a series of protests. Citizens were demanding that something must be done to end police brutality. And thereafter, these protests manifested into demands for democratic reforms. As you might be aware, Eswatini is an absolute monarchy. It is ruled by King Mswati as an absolute monarchy. Political parties are banned from participating in elections. So government is chosen by the king. The king just sits down with his friends and loyalists to decide who should be in government. So the people now realize that they are being suppressed by this dictatorship government owned by King Mswati. Hence the protest that we are seeing now.
Has this been a ticking bomb?
Can you come again, Queen?
Has this been a ticking bomb? Just one of those where it just emanated from the story that you just narrated of the young man?
In fact, the demands for democratic reforms are not new. It's just that now are intensifying. We are seeing a new generation of young people who are not tolerating this dictatorship, whereby a king will just sit down and decide who should be in government. And with the emergence of the independent media, people now have access to information. They now know what is happening in their own country. Before, the state media will just mislead the people that the king is a symbol of peace, the king loves his people, when in fact we have over 70% citizens, 70% of the population living below the poverty line. And when I'm mentioning these people living below the poverty line, I'm talking about people who hardly afford a decent meal. They don't know where the next meal will come from. So this young generation are now demanding that at least King Mswati must allow democratic reforms. Their first demand, they were lenient with the king. They first demanded that he must at least allow them to elect their own prime minister. But now, as the king responds by unleashing armed soldiers to kill the people, they are now demanding that King Mswati must step down. They now want nothing to do with the monarchy.
The monarchy has in the past really won over this whatever conflicts or whatever protest there has been. What has changed? What is now different?
I think now the people are empowered with information. You know, dictatorship governments have been thriving through misleading information. Even now they are trying to propagate what is happening in the country, but it's hard for them now because There's an independent media that they can't control. They've tried to shut down the internet, but seemingly media houses around the world, as I'm speaking to you now, media houses around the world are focusing on Eswatini. They are reporting about the situation in Eswatini. So it's hard for them to propagate anymore. And the people now have access to social media. These protests have been struck by the fact that people have been debating online, debating issues, holding government to account, questioning government decisions. So now it's a serious problem for the monarch and the government, because it's hard to convince a generation that is empowered with information regarding issues that are manifesting in their own country.
Right. You talked about, now people having, talking or engaging on what is now happening. And recently there was the internet blackout. How has that affected the whole conversations of the people?
Yes, the whole engagement among the people was affected. But this thing of the disconnecting internet is fueling the protest, because now people, they understand that if the government can just wake up in the morning and deprive them such an essential and fundamental right to information, because internet plays a critical role in making sure that people engage, people communicate. So government is just confirming that it's a oppressive system that can just wake up in the morning and decide that no, today you can't have access to internet, even though this thing affected the communication among the people. But at the same time, it's just confirming that this government is not democratic. It does not respect people's rights, even access to information. They just decide who should communicate and when you should communicate. And that is a serious problem that is now confirming that this is a government that does not care for the people.
I read this morning in your Swaziland news that the Natural Resource Minister has banned sale of petrol in containers. Maybe just update us on that, because I think is the current development.
Yes, of course. The Minister for Natural Resources and Energy released a statement banning the sale of petrol containers. You will understand that protesters have been using petrol to target the government and properties linked to companies belonging to the king. So maybe they are trying to make sure that they control the situation. But it's difficult, because people, if they can be able to fill petrol with their cars, they can just use that petrol to target those properties. I think what they can do now is to just give the people what they want. People want democracy. Depriving them access to fuel and other strategies cannot work anymore. But yes, it's confirmed government is trying to manage the situation by depriving citizens access to fuel.
There were reports, I think last week, or when this violence started, that King Moswati fled the country, which government later refuted through a statement. Is he or is he not in Eswatini?
As a matter of fact, Queen King Moswati, as we reported earlier, fled the country. That's the information that we have. But government later disputed or refuted those allegations, saying King Moswati is in Eswatini or Swaziland. And then the question is, if he is in Eswatini, by this time he should have addressed the nation and give direction, because now SADC observers or mission have arrived in Eswatini, but the king is not there. The king is the head of state. He should have now spoken to these observers who are in Eswatini now on a fact-finding mission. The king is nowhere to be found in the midst of this social unrest. And what we're seeing his children addressing the nation. We're seeing the acting prime minister addressing the nation. In a situation where citizens are being killed, properties are being burned allegedly by protesters, one would expect the king to address the nation, but he's nowhere to be found as I'm talking to you now.
Okay. The SADC organ on politics, defense and security chairperson, His Excellency Dr. Mokgweetsi Masisi, who is our president here in Botswana, issued a statement on the 2nd of July, that noted with concern reports of violence in Eswatini. And he said, and I'm going to quote this, Zweli, I don't know if you've seen the statement, that, I quote, that the violence resulted in widespread destruction of property, injuries to people, while at least one death reported. Of quote. Now, yesterday, the Swaziland Solidarity Network spokesperson, Lucky Lukele, issued a statement that he titled SADC's useless and distasteful statement. He basically rubbished Dr. Masisi's statement. Well, amongst the points that he raised was that was a massacre, and not at least one person died, but that a confirmed number of people who lost their lives was 40. Now, there seemed to be a confusion as to the number of people who have lost their lives in this protest. Can you just clear the air for us? Just tell us, are we seeing many people having died, or what's going on?
Queen, the truth of the matter is many people, dozens of people have died in Eswatini as I'm talking to you now. Some are dying. But the numbers that are now being revealed, these are confirmed numbers whereby as journalists and the civil society, including the opposition parties, we then do a research and investigation to conduct the relatives of the families who have been killed by the soldiers. That's why you say, even if we can disclose that over 40 people have been killed, these are confirmed numbers. But the truth of the matter is there are many people who have been killed by the soldiers. It's just that we are just conducting investigation to verify and make sure we report accurate. Because if we say 100 people have been killed, we must make sure we have the names, where that person was treated, the name of the hospital, where the person was killed. So hence, the 40 is accurate because we now have the names and the identities and the location where that person was killed. So the statement by SADC is useless, as mentioned by the Swaziland Solidarity Network, because it doesn't reflect the true situation in Eswatini. What this organization is doing, Queen, we have seen before SADC protecting other dictators in the region, and we are not surprised by this statement, but we are calling upon your president, who is the head of SADC, to make sure that he do justice to the people of Eswatini. We are talking about people here who are dying. This is not a movie. This is a real situation. So to read a statement like that from a SADC is very disappointing, because the situation on the ground, we are talking about people who are dying. Even yesterday, we received information that next to Lutsitsini Royal Palace, soldiers arrived and killed young men who were just on their doing their business. They just opened fire and killed the people and later disappeared. And now we are trying to make sure we get the relatives of those people so that we can reveal their identities. So almost every day, people are dying in Eswatini. It's not just one person has died. That is not true. SADC must reveal the true position of what is happening in Eswatini and take appropriate action against King Swat.
Zweli, what's next? I mean, having observed the situation back home, what's next, really?
We are expecting that the SADC Observer Mission must engage with the government and the civil society, including political parties, to find a lasting solution to the current situation in Eswatini. And we expect SADC to be fair. We don't expect SADC to side with the dictator. Because if SADC sides with the dictator, that means SADC is useless. We expect them to engage independently and in the interest of the people of Eswatini. As mentioned earlier, people are dying, Queen, and we expect such organization to make sure they promote peace and stability in the interest of the people, not in the interest of the dictators who are suppressing people in the region. It's not only Eswatini. We have seen SADC protecting dictators like Robert Mugabe. Now it's Eswatini. Eswatini has been portrayed in the eyes of the international community as a peaceful country that promotes dialogue. We are now expecting King Mswati to practice what he has been preaching to the world. If he believes in dialogue, then why is he killing the people?
All right. Thank you so much, Zweli, for your time. Zweli?
Thank you very much.
Yes, I will definitely keep in touch just so that we also get updates of what is happening in Eswatini.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yes, ke ne ke bua jalo le Swaziland News editor Zweli Martin Dlamini a re tlhalosa jalo ka seemo se leng gore sa diragala ko Eswatini. Mme ke utlwe wena gore dio tse ga o ntse o di lebeletse kana o ntse o setse gannye morago o utlwa jaaka re ntse re